I'm Indy Nidell.
And I'm Burns.
And this is the Baseball History Time Machine.
The best baseball podcast in the entire world.
And space.
And time.
Yep, we aim high.
And what are we going to talk about today?
Today, we're going to, as you may guess, pick up where we left off last week when we began talking about the first black Major League Baseball players.
Yeah, we spent most of last week in the 1800s.
That we did. And if you out there have not listened to that one, you may want to go back and check it out before listening to this one. It's not required, but it's a good part 1 and part 2.
Okay, so after all that set up, is this where you're going to talk about Jackie Robinson?
Sure, but I will keep it fairly brief, not because Robinson isn't important. I mean, they don't come more iconic. And when you think of what he had to endure as well, it's stunning. It's a testament to what a great man he was. The thing is, though, there are many, many Jackie Robinson bios out there that certainly do him more justice than I could do in a few minutes of coverage here, since I have other stuff to cover today. And also, this show is for baseball nerds. I cannot imagine that anyone out there listening doesn't know the story of Jackie Robinson and breaking the color barrier in first the minor and then the major leagues.
I think a lot of people forget that he broke the color barrier in the minor leagues as well.
I think so, too. Okay, here's Jackie R. in brief. What's important about him, though, is not just what he had to take, but what he had to give. Leo DeRocher was his first manager with the Brooklyn Dodgers, with whom he began play in 1947. And he had this to say about Robinson: "You want a guy that comes to play. But he didn't just come to play. He came to beat you. He came to stuff the damn bat right up your ass."
Oh, wow. Okay.
Jackie Robinson was born in Georgia in 1919 and was the youngest of 5 kids. His mother moved the family to Pasadena, California the next year after the father deserted the family. His mother soon enough managed to get a house in a mainly white part of Pasadena, which brought years of harassment, petitions to get rid of the Robinsons, and fights for the kids. Now, Jackie was not the only great athlete in the family.
Oh, no?
No. His older brother, Mac, was a track star, and we're talking world-class track star. In the 1936 Berlin Olympics, Mac Robinson finished second to Jesse Owens in the 200-meter finals, winning the silver medal.
Holy shit, I did not know that.
Now, before 1936, the Olympic record in the 200 was 21.2 seconds by American Eddie Tolan in 1932. Already in the third qualifying heat, Owens hit 21.1 to beat that record, and did it again in the third quarterfinal. Mac Robinson matched that in the semifinals, and again in the final, but Jesse lowered his own record to 20.7 in the final to win.
That's pretty amazing that Mac Robinson was an Olympic silver medal track star.
Yeah, and he went to college too, and even with all that, he could only find work as a janitor for the city of Pasadena. I read in the SABR, Society for American Baseball Research, the SABR bio of Jackie, that Mac lost that job because of a racial thing. See, black people were only allowed to use the local public swimming pool 1 day a week. Apparently, when a judge ordered full access for everyone, the city shot back by firing black employees, including Mac Robinson.
I can't even believe that a great athlete anywhere in the world could actually be treated like that. That's pretty horrendous.
The late 1930s were not a happy time for much of the world, as anyone who's watched my World War II YouTube series will know. Well, Jackie was also a young track star, as well as a baseball star, a football star, and a basketball star at high school and junior college. And he went to UCLA, where he was a multi-sport star there.
Can you give me some of his highlights?
Sure. He won the NCAA long jump title, and if there'd been Olympics in 1940, he surely would have gone. He averaged 11 yards per carry 1 year as a running back for their football team. In basketball, he led the Pacific Coast League in scoring as both a junior and a senior. He was a champion swimmer. He made it as far as the semifinals in the National Negro Tennis Tournament. And he was also the baseball team's shortstop.
So he won no big awards for baseball at UCLA?
No, and Robinson didn't finish college either. Against the advice of his coaches and his family, Robinson left UCLA 1 semester short of graduating. Apparently, there were serious financial issues at home that he thought he could help out with, so he got a job as an assistant athletic director. Now, even though he left UCLA in the spring of 1941, Robinson played in August in the 8th annual College All-Star Game. This was against the NFL champion Chicago Bears.
This sounds interesting. And by the way, go Bears.
They played at Soldier Field in Chicago, and the Bears won 37-13. Jackie Robinson caught a 36-yard pass for a touchdown, becoming the first black player to score in a college all-star game.
So how was it with black players in the NFL back then? Was there a color line too?
There was, but it's funny. There were African-American players in football in the early and mid-1920s, and a few here and there in the NFL as that decade ended and the 30s began. There were 2 in 1933, but then none from 1934 until after World War II.
So the college all-star game is the only game you'll see black players playing NFL players in Robinson's time.
Right. But there were integrated leagues out there. Robinson joined the LA Bulldogs in the Pacific Coast Professional Football League. And damn it, I knew this was going to happen. I was only going to briefly talk about Jackie Robinson. And now I'm not even talking about baseball.
But this is good stuff.
It is good stuff, but yeah, okay. Okay, I'm not done yet, though, anyway. Okay. And thanks. Okay, cut to Pearl Harbor, right? Robinson had actually been playing football in Hawaii in late 1941, but he was en route back to the States when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. So he missed that. A bunch of months later, he was drafted into the Army, but despite his college background, he was not allowed to go into officer training until none other than boxing champ Joe Louis intervened on his behalf.
Seriously, Joe Louis, the Joe Louis.
The Joe Louis. He was at the same base as Robinson.
Oh, wow.
But Robinson was not allowed to play on the baseball team. It was segregated.
Even in the Army, you can fight and die together, but you can't play a game of baseball together with your fellow soldiers.
Well, Robinson had other racial issues in the Army, and after a court-martial, because he wouldn't move to the back of a bus, well, he won that case, he was honorably discharged. By now, he had come to the attention of Branch Rickey. Rickey was president and general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he was set on desegregating baseball. Okay. He had been looking for a certain type of man to be the one to break the color line. He had to be talented, of course, but he had to be used to competing with and against white athletes in general. He had to be educated and well-spoken. The religious Rickey was looking for someone who didn't drink or smoke, like Robinson, who also happened to be a Methodist, like Rickey.
I guess Robinson fit the bill.
But he certainly wasn't the only one. And there were guys who'd starred in the Negro Leagues who had way more baseball experience than Jackie Robinson had. And they could very well have been Rickey's first choice.
Interesting. Like who, though?
Monty Irvin won batting titles in the Negro National League in 1940 and 1941. Larry Doby was a rising star. Those were two strong candidates.
And I know these two, they both ended up playing in the major leagues, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
But they were just not the first. But most importantly, they were overseas still serving in the armed forces. So while Robinson was not considered the best African-American baseball player, he was the man for the job.
But why then? Why the rush?
Well, it's like you said. See, the integration movement picked up real steam during the war because if you could fight and die with someone, why couldn't you play baseball with someone? Also, Baseball Commissioner Landis, who was pretty old school and conservative in his thinking, died in 1944. And from what I've read, for Branch Rickey, that was the big impetus to do it now.
So what was Robinson doing at the time?
He played in 1945 in the Negro Leagues for the Kansas City Monarchs. Now, he apparently signed it in secret over the summer, but in October 1945, it was announced that he had signed a contract to play baseball in 1946 for the Montreal Royals in the International League. That was the Dodgers' top farm club. The rest of the story people generally know, I think.
Okay, but what was the reaction to the minor league contract then?
As you'd imagine, there was an outcry from pretty predictable quarters. But for the most part, in general, it was pretty positive. But when you get away from in general, the baseball establishment was overwhelmingly against it. During spring training in 1946, this was not helped by Robinson having a sore arm, so he played pretty badly. And there were a lot of I told you so's. And I want to be clear about something. While a lot of the anti-integration stuff was just straight up racism, baseball is a business, and some of the team owners thought they really had a financial motive to continue segregated baseball.
Hang on. What do you mean financial motive?
Well, they were worried that having black players on the field would keep white customers out of the seats, right, out of the stands. Like that white people wouldn't pay to watch black players or sit in the stands with black fans. Well, April 18th, 1946 was Montreal's first game of the season, and it was played in Jersey City versus the Jersey City Giants, and Jackie Robinson was playing second base and batting second.
Boy, I bet you could have cut the excitement and the tension with a knife. How'd he do?
Jackie was the game. He grounded out in the first inning, but he hit a 3-run homer in the third. Then in the fifth, he bunt-singled, stole second, went to third on an out at first, and was darting back and forth so far off the bag, faking a steal of home, that the pitcher balked him home.
Oh, wow.
In the seventh, he singled and stole second, and then was driven in. And in the eighth, he again bunt-singled, went all the way to third on an infield hit, and then again forced a balk to score. So he was 4 for 5, with 4 runs scored, a homer, and 2 steals.
And caused 2 balks to score himself from third. That's one hell of a day at bat.
The Amsterdam News in New York wrote, "He did everything but help the ushers seat the crowd."
Wow, that's cool.
Jackie Robinson was an immediate sensation. He led the Royals to dominate the league that season, winning the batting title at .349, leading the league with 113 runs scored. The Royals won the pennant by 19 and a half games, and then won the Little World Series.
So how did it go financially? Like, the people who were worried about, like, the financial aspect of this, how did that go for them?
I'll tell you in just a second, just after this. It was just the opposite of their worries. The Royals set an attendance record in Montreal, and when they were on the road, attendance at Royals games was 3 times what it had been in 1945.
Oh, wow. But hang on. How was Robinson treated by the fans?
It could be really tough in places like Baltimore, where the other team really didn't want to come out and play.
Yeah, but what about Montreal?
Well, okay, it was different there. The fans welcomed Robinson from day one. Thing is, the first 3 games of the Little World Series were in Louisville against the Colonels. The fans not only loudly booed every single thing he did and cheered when he got hit by a pitch, none of the hotels would even give him a room. It was pretty awful.
Wow,
The Montreal fans retaliated by booing every single Louisville player when he'd leave the dugout when the series returned to Canada. Robinson, for his part, was the catalyst for victory in the final 3 games, and the scene at the end was really something from a movie, since it was obvious that Jackie Robinson was going to play in the majors in 1947. The crowd wanted him back on the field. Sam Moulton described it in the Pittsburgh Courier. It's a quote. "Jackie came out and the crowd surged on him. Men and women of all ages threw their arms around him, kissed him, and pulled and tore at his clothes, and then carried him around the infield on their shoulders, shouting themselves hoarse. Jackie, tears streaming down his face, tried to beg off further honors." And also, even when he left the stadium, hundreds of fans chased him through the streets as he tried to make it back to his hotel. Moulton wrote this, "It was probably the only day in history that a black man ran from a white mob with love instead of lynching on its mind."
All right, so first things first is I have to give kudos to all Montreal sports fans, even to this day. They are some of the most passionate sport fans I know. Even with the Canadians, I guess it was the same back when they still had the Expos.
Yeah.
And then secondly...
I miss the Expos.
Yeah, and that's a really, really cool story in terms of like... And that just shows like how connected and how he brought that city together.
But you know, you want to hear something interesting? Some sources, right, including the Sabre bio of Robinson at the Sabre website, say that Jackie was running because he had a plane to catch and not heading for his hotel. And it seems to me that this is the kind of thing that all sources should be able to agree on, but, you know, there you go.
So Jackie Robinson played in the major leagues as a rookie in 1947.
He did, and he won Rookie of the Year, hitting .297, scoring 125 runs, and leading the league with 29 stolen bases.
So in the Robinson movies and articles, there's always a bunch of stuff about the hatred and the aggression he faced in his first year, right?
Yeah, that is true. Ricky, actually, had a spring training camp for the Dodgers in Cuba instead of in the South, which was likely a smart idea. But even then, there was a petition from some of the Southerners on the team, like Dixie Walker, against Robinson. And this was put down by Ricky and manager DeRocher. Here is something interesting. DeRocher was suspended for the 1947 season for his associations with known gamblers and other, shall we say, unsavory characters.
There's got to be a good story here.
Sure. Sidetrack accepted. Now, DeRocher did enjoy gambling personally, but after Ricky ordered DeRocher to stop all gambling, cards and dice and things like that, in the clubhouse and on road trips in 1942, he did. DeRocher was friends, though, with George Raft, the famous actor, who was known for having serious mob connections. In 1941, Commissioner Landis even refused DeRocher's request for 4 seats for Raft in the manager's box because of this.
Oh, wow.
Then in 1944, Raft was investigated for holding an apparently crooked dice game at DeRocher's apartment. Though, again apparently, DeRocher was not there at the time. And this still created a lot of negative press for Lippy Leo.
Lippy Leo?
That's what people called DeRocher, Lippy Leo. He had a big mouth and he had a loud mouth. Anyhow, Raft and DeRocher were still friends, so there was a fair amount of guilt by association. Cut to 1947, before spring training in January. Leo DeRocher marries the actress Lorraine Day in El Paso, Texas, just across the border from Mexico, where the same day she is granted a divorce from her former husband. He is contesting that divorce in California, though, so there's controversy around that.
Oh man, this is getting complicated.
And it all upsets new commissioner Happy Chandler.
Happy?
No, one sidetrack at a time, right? Chandler then meets with DeRocher and tells him he cannot associate with known gamblers, period. And DeRocher says, okay. Then, at a spring training game versus the Yankees, DeRocher spots 2 such figures in the stands, Connie Immerman and Memphis Engelberg.
He didn't go talk to them, did he?
No, but here's the problem. They're sitting with Larry MacPhail, president of the Yankees. DeRocher and Ricky complain that if DeRocher can't associate with gamblers, why can MacPhail?
Yeah, sounds pretty reasonable.
But then in the Brooklyn Eagle, the newspaper, DeRocher says, quote, MacPhail was flaunting his company with known gamblers right in the players' faces. If I even said hello to one of those guys, I'd be called before Commissioner Chandler and probably barred. That causes MacPhail to file a complaint with Chandler that DeRocher airing his beef in public is detrimental to baseball. Chandler has a closed hearing, and the result is that DeRocher is suspended for a year on April 9th for the accumulation of unpleasant incidents in which he has been involved, which the commissioner construes as detrimental to baseball.
It kind of sounds made up, and it kind of sounds like, you know what, I don't like this guy, and I'm gonna just throw the book at him for whatever reason I can think of.
And despite a considerable uproar over this, Chandler refused to ever release a transcript of the hearing or even elaborate on his reasons for the suspension. Okay, there were a few big gambling scandals at the time, so it was a pretty sensitive issue to many fans. But Gerald Eskenazi writes in his bio of DeRocher, "We will never know all the ingredients that went into making the decision to suspend Leo. Even after it happened, there was so much reckless speculation that it has become a truth. Leo DeRocher was suspended for 1947 for gambling, or for his associates, or for marrying a divorced woman before she was free."
So this isn't like a Pete Rose thing, right?
As far as I'm aware, DeRocher was not doing any actual gambling, or even hanging out with gamblers.
Okay, so who took over as the manager then?
Burt Schotten did, but wait, hang on a second.
Okay.
This suspension did something that actually helped Jackie Robinson.
Ah.
See, he was still listed, well, it wasn't intentional, but
Yeah.
see, he was still listed on the Montreal Royals roster and not the Brooklyn Dodgers when spring training began. And Ricky used the uproar to get him transferred to the Dodgers basically unnoticed.
Little sidetrack, or like a little like cards falling into place, and he kind of saw a gap and he took it. Yeah, okay. And the season went pretty much how it does in the movies. A bunch of support and a bunch of racism, I guess.
Pretty much. Death threats, other teams threatening to strike, Ben Chapman and the Phillies hounding Robinson so badly that it backfired. Chapman got so much flack for that he asked Robinson to be in a photo with him to pretty much save his job. One thing here I forgot to mention. Robinson played first base as a rookie, not second.
Aha, how come?
The Dodgers had leadoff man Eddie Stanky at second, and he was a really good fielder. Robinson was not great at first base, but he was certainly not bad, though he was second in the league in errors. But let's just say that Robinson, through his personality and play, silenced his critics, and financially, well, the Dodgers set their new attendance record, and set single-game attendance records at every single National League park except for one. Can you guess which?
Nope.
Cincinnati.
Okay.
The crowd record, the public record, for the first Major League night game under artificial lights still held up.
That is really, really cool.
Yeah? Well, the Dodgers won the pennant, but they lost the World Series 4-3 to the Yankees.
Heartbreaking.
The Dodgers lost to the Yankees in 1941, so this was the second series loss to them.
Yeah.
But they would also lose to the Yankees in 1949 1952, and 1953, and lose pennants on the final day of the season in games against the pennant winners, Phillies and Giants, in 1950 and 1951.
Must have been really, really, really trying times to be a Brooklyn fan. Imagine that heartbreak pretty much every single year.
Well, they finally beat the Yankees in the World Series in 1955, even though they lost the first two games.
Yeah.
That was the only World Series championship Brooklyn won. They lost again to the Yankees in 1956, and then they moved out to California, winning their first series there in 1959 over the White Sox.
So Brooklyn has how many series in total?
They were in 9 World Series, and they won just the once in 1955.
How many of the others were 7-game losses then?
3 of them, including 1947, which was a very exciting series and featured one of the most exciting games in World Series history, Game 4.
Which you're going to tell me about.
I sure am. Sure. Okay, the Yankees are up 2-1 in the series. Big Bill Bevens starts for New York, and Harry Taylor for Brooklyn, though he's relieved after just, I think, 4 batters by Hal Gregg. The game is pretty tight, and in the 9th inning, the Yankees are up 2-1. But here's the thing. Bill Bevens is throwing a no-hitter, and at this time, no one's ever thrown a World Series no-hitter before.
How did the Dodgers score their run then?
Oh, a fielder's choice after 2 walks and a sacrifice bunt in the 5th, right? So, you can still score a run in a no-hitter.
Yeah. Fair.
Okay. The Yankees go down in the top of the 9th. In the bottom, Bruce Edwards flies out. Carl Furillo walks. Spider Jorgensen fouls out. There's only 1 out to go for Bevens and history. Al Gianfrido pinch runs for Furillo. Pete Reiser pinch hits for reliever Hugh Casey. The Yankees intentionally walk Reiser, and Eddie Mixis pinch runs for him. Okay. Cookie Lavagetto pinch hits for Eddie Stanky. Lavagetto takes a ball and then lines the next pitch off the right field wall, which takes a funny bounce and hits Yankee right fielder Tommy Henrich on the shoulder. Gianfrido and Mixis both score, ending Bevens' no-hitter and winning the game for Brooklyn 2-1. It is the final hit of Cookie Lavagetto's major league career. Actually, neither he nor Bill Bevens ever play again in the major leagues after 1947. So this was Bevens' final career start.
8 2/3 innings of no-hit ball is pretty good final career stat, if you ask me.
But the series has more excitement to come. The Yankees win Game 5 2-1. Rex Barney, one of those flame-throwing prospects who can't miss but never achieves the stardom everyone expects of them, he gives up only 3 hits, but he also gives up 9 walks in 4 innings, which leads to the Dodgers' undoing at the hands of Spec Shea. In Game 6, though, the Dodgers explode with 8 runs off Allie Reynolds and Joe Page. However, though they won 8-6, this was also a super dramatic game.
Oh, let's hear it.
The Yankees were actually up 5-4 after 5, but down 8-5 after the top of the 6th. Al Gianfrido, who we just saw, who scored in the 9th off Bevens as a pinch runner 2 games ago, comes in as a defensive replacement. There are 2 on and 2 outs when Joe DiMaggio comes up to bat. And he's the tying run at the plate, right?
Oh, wow.
He smashes the ball out near the 415-foot marker by the bullpen alley fence. And Gianfrido makes one of the greatest catches and one of the most famous in baseball history to rob DiMaggio of a game-tying homer.
That's some serious, serious drama.
Now, that catch is on YouTube. You can look up Gianfrido catch, right? Red Barber was the announcer, and he said, swung on, belted, it's a long one, back goes Gianfrido, back, 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 back. He makes a one-handed catch against the bullpen. Oh, doctor! This catch, though, is the final out Gianfrido makes in his career. He, too, will not be back in 1948. And you can also see in the footage afterwards, DiMaggio kicking the dirt by second base when he realizes the ball has been caught. And Joe DiMaggio is not one for emotions. Barber later said that to him it was probably the only time that DiMaggio was publicly and visibly upset.
I would have blown my top, personally. Yeah.
You definitely would.
I would have broken something.
I would have been mildly displeased.
Yeah.
Okay, the Yankees load the bases in the bottom of the 9th, but manage just the 1 run.
Okay, so what a series. We're tied up 3-3, right?
In Game 7, Brooklyn jumps ahead 2-0, but New York wins 5-2 after Joe Page comes in to pitch 5 innings of one-hit shutout relief for the Yankees after Bevens pitches the final couple innings of his Major League career in early relief.
That's pretty darn good of Page under that kind of pressure, actually.
Joe Page is somewhat unfairly forgotten today, but he was the first relief pitcher to come close to winning an MVP award. He was a mediocre starter for a few years and then was converted to relief in 1947, and he had a 3-year run as a star reliever, coming 4th in the MVP voting in 1947 and 3rd in 1949. And then that was it for him. But think, follow me here.
Yeah.
In 1947, DiMaggio wins the MVP by 1 point over Triple Crown winner Ted Williams. DiMaggio gets 8 first-place votes and Williams 3. But get this. Joe Page got 7 first-place votes that year.
Wow, that's pretty cool. But back to the
series.
Like, how did Jackie Robinson do?
Not bad. I'm middle of the road, sort of. He hit .259 with a couple of steals. He scored a few runs. He drove in a few more. And I'm glad we're back to Robinson, but I'm also not glad that, again, I failed to cover what I wanted to cover in an episode, which was the other black players of the late 1940s. So I suppose I should wrap Robinson up.
I suppose you should.
What can I say? In 1948, Stanky went to Boston. Robinson moved to second base where he belonged. Yeah. He had a great career. He won the 1949 batting title, hitting .342. Won the MVP award that year. He actually credited Hall of Famer George Sisler with improving his batting that year, teaching him to get better at opposite field hits. Let's see. Robinson was often called the most dangerous base runner since Ty Cobb, with his leads and his jockeying and his daring. He did steal home 19 times in his career, the most since the live ball era, the modern era, began. You know what I think is a weirdly impressive feat? Okay, now Ty Cobb stole home 8 times in 1912, the single-season record. Number 2, with 7, is shared by Robinson's teammate Pete Reiser, which makes sense because he was a lightning-fast stolen base champion, but also by none other than Rod Carew.
Rod Carew?
Yep. In 1969, Rod Carew stole home 7 times, and number 7 was already on July 16th, though he did not manage number 8 before the season was over.
That's a pretty great stat, though.
That's an awesome stat. I love Rod Carew. Jackie Robinson managed to steal his way around the bases, second, third, and home, in the same thing, at the age of 35. He was the first baseball player to appear on a postage stamp. He retired after the 1956 season at the age of 37. He was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1962.
So you just accidentally did a Jackie Robinson episode?
I just accidentally did a Jackie Robinson episode. Now, Jackie was cool. Well, wait a second. It also had Lippy Leo, and it had the 1947 World Series.
That it did.
But okay, that is all from us for today. But we'll be back next Sunday, where I guess I'm doing part 3 of the first African-American Major League Baseball players, which is supposed to be 1 episode. But to help us make ever more of these things, join us at patreon.com, and you can get our content ad-free, and you can get it early there if you do. And to chat with us about episodes or whatever's on your minds, do that on Facebook or write to us at baseballhistorytimemachine@gmail.com. So, to end the day, I'm Indy Nidell.
And I'm Burns.
And this is the Baseball History Time Machine.